Yeah, Alex Hormozi's my dad. We talk on Twitter. Dad, you better be in fucking Tampa October 28th.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stick Talk podcast. New episode of the Members Lounge, which is interesting because the Members Lounge episodes before this one were just myself, Christian, and Dan. And so we invited our friend who is a wizard to join us on this one today.
Sir Wiz.
Sir Wizard.
What's up,
He's
boys?
usually back in the corner. In armor,
Yeah.
Life scale model.
Bro, it's so funny. Like,
actual size.
making these jokes about, like, we were just at the Client Ascension event in London, and it's like you meet all these people for the first time in person, and you're just, like, so shocked at how, like, Luke Ward is like 6'10", and then you got guys like that are just way shorter.
Bro, I walk up there and I was like, bro, what the fuck is going on here?
The Irish guys are just so tall.
Yeah.
Usually the ops types are smaller. I was very
Yeah,
surprised
what are you
by
trying
Luke
to
Ward.
say, bro? What are you trying to say?
It's true.
The bubbies, as Logue Fitz says.
Yeah.
Nick Rogers types.
Because I let the operational bubbies do all that shit. I just create shit.
Yeah.
Zaddies?
But yeah, guys, we're just back here from the London event. It was so funny.
Which was like $50,000.
I was just gonna say we were just on the P&L call before this, and I'm like, bro, explaining to like our accountant how like every time I took a breath, the Amex was getting swiped
It
somewhere.
was ridiculous.
It was like the most expensive trip.
Oh, you
ever.
want a water? That's fucking $12.
All you Brits said, we got the good Bulgari cigar lounge. The cheapest stick in there is $40, and the whole place is the size of this fucking room. Give me a break. Grand Cathedral cigars, world class. Can't beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
We love
crazy
this
that
place.
my because this was the first cigar bar I've ever gone to.
Oh,
It
it's
just
like
so happens that it's the best cigar bar on the planet. So I go to every other one. I'm like, this is a piece of shit.
actually though.
This place is
Completely
great.
ruin your expectations. That'd be like losing your virginity to Heidi Klum or something. It's just like, it's all downhill from there.
I did.
Talk about that.
Yeah, it was great.
But no, the event was actually dope, though. It was definitely worth the investment. We were talking about it just on the call before this, and it was just really cool. I mean, my favorite part was we had 18 of our team members there, and so just being able to meet the team. Like, when you run an online business, your entire team, for the most part, is remote. We have the privilege of working together here in Tampa as, like, the executive team, but a lot of the other guys are just all over the world, from Ireland, Germany, Barcelona, the UK. And so coming together for an event like that is so special.
We got to be like Apple. U.S. headquarters, Ireland headquarters.
Legit though.
We don't
Yeah.
even have a U.S. headquarters.
Tampa, bro.
No, I mean, it's just like...
The Grand Cathedral cigar
Yeah,
lounge.
I guess this is our official headquarters as of this episode. But yeah, the event was dope. What was your guys' favorite part?
So mine was being severely and debilitatingly hungover and sleep deprived at the main event, and we're sitting here, we're setting up, and Andre's telling me, "Yo, you gotta talk about something," and he's all nervous. He's like, "Oh, what's this motherfucker about to say?"
I think this guy's about to fall off the chair.
If there was
Like
a
our
whiteboard
audience
here,
of
here's what it
students.
would say.
What's this motherfucker about to say? I'm like, bro, don't worry. When I get cooking, I'm cooking. Like, don't fucking worry.
Hold on, let him cook.
That's exactly what happened. I'm sitting here like falling asleep. Like I can't even function. But I just need like the spark.
As soon as you say offer sophistication, he's like the Undertaker out of the tomb. He's back.
Right when I heard transfer of logistical intensity, it was over. It's fucking over.
Which makes complete sense. Like, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Then I thought about it for a second. I was like, oh, it's exactly what
Dude,
Sam
it makes
Evans
hella
used to talk
sense. You
about
guys
the
are all
time.
fucking laughing from the phrase transfer of logistical intensity. So let me
Yeah, because
explain.
I'm just sitting there being like, what is this guy about to
Well,
say?
you just have the most absurd vernacular ever.
Isn't
Yeah.
that what Sam Evans used to say, though? Like, steal your competitor's logistical complexity or something like that?
Eat the complexity.
Eat the complexity.
That's what he said.
That's what it was.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like I define it, and I sent an email about this today. Is you imagine an offer, and your offer is you're
I think
trying.
it's mad funny. Like, your feet just perfectly match up to the table. Like, it just looks like...
If you're watching on
All right,
YouTube,
so
that made sense.
say you have
You
an
let him
offer.
say that, bro?
Say you have an offer where you're gonna help someone get on podcasts. And the way that you're gonna do it is by outreaching to podcast hosts and send a message to them and try to get your client on the podcast via outreach, right? So there's intensity points here. What I mean by that is the first step in the process is making a list of the podcasts you want to get on in the first place. So that's one thing. And then there's finding the email addresses of the people who run the podcast. And then there's writing the script to get on the podcast. There's the scheduling of the podcast. And then there's the determining of what exactly they're going to say in the podcast to promote whatever shit they're trying to promote. So there's 5 points there. And if you were to come along and you could sell an offer where it's like, hey, you can buy this list of 100 top business podcasts, and some amount of people would purchase that. And then you could do it again where, hey, I'll give you the list of the podcast and the best outreach script. Bam. And now you're hanging around like do-it-yourself services here. So like a course. Like you could put that shit in a course or just a digital product. And then you start gathering, you start transferring the logistical intensity to yourself, and it morphs into a done-with-you offer. And that would be like, hey, you'll do the outreach for them. Like you'll send the emails for them. And then it starts to get to done for you, where it's like you're going to make the whole presentation for them that they're going to say on the podcast. And the highest level of done for you would be you go on the fucking podcast yourself, like as a relegation of their personal brand. Like you do the presentation to promote their shit, and you act as a personal brand on behalf of their company. So the more logistical intensity that you capture on the offer, the more money they will pay you to do it, because it just is more difficult. So let me give you another example.
The perfect example is the newsletter offer we just signed on for.
Yeah, correct.
They're like, oh, we will do the tech sign up for you. I'm like, perfect. I don't want to do that shit.
Let me give you another one. Roofing. You're a roofing marketing company. Now, what the fuck goes on in a roofing marketing company? So, like, you get a client who owns a roofing business who's capable of doing roofs, but they need prospects. So, how do you get prospects? You do ads for them. All right, so you make the ads, you run the ads for them, and then you build the funnel, you build the website and the landing page, right, to get the leads. Then what happens after that when a lead comes in? You have to qualify the leads, right? Because there's a bunch of tire kickers, people doing a bunch of bullshit, opting into random whatever the fuck, and just being dumb. Like it happens. So you have to qualify the leads. You got to call them. Like, hey, do you actually need a roof? And scheduling the appointment for their team to go out and give a quote. So you're doing the quote scheduling. And then there is the actual team doing the quote, and then whatever sales process on the back end of that to actually make the sale, to execute doing the roof, right? So let's talk about this one point where it's the qualification of the leads, where you actually call the people and schedule the quotes. No one wants to fucking do that. You don't want to do that. The client doesn't want to do that. No one wants to call the leads, especially when it's like 20, 30 a day. Like, no one wants to do that. So, because no one wants to do it, both other agencies and the client, the supply is low. And if supply is low, then you can charge more money. It's very simple. South Tampa it physically cannot expand. There is no available land to build new shit in South Tampa. Therefore, supply is limited. It's very low, and that's why prices go up, even in a fixed amount of demand. So, if you sell something with low demand, because it's logistically intense as fuck, you can make a lot of money. Now, let me take this full circle. Let's talk about Amazon. $1 trillion company. Why is Amazon a $1 trillion company? Because the value proposition is 1 day shipping guaranteed on Amazon Prime.
It's Prime Day.
How do you get...
Prime Day today?
Yeah, I think so. How do you get 1 day shipping? How is that even functionally possible?
You make drivers not even take piss breaks.
You own the planes... You own the warehouses, you own the trucks, you own the delivery drivers, you own the entire system.
Whoa. You own the delivery drivers? Pause.
As an employee. So Amazon took what is actually the most logistically intense process on the entire planet and turned it into a $1 trillion company because it's so hard to do that. That's why they make so much money. So when someone says, oh, you can do this business and all you have to do is write emails. Like, oh, you could build a copywriting business to $10K a month. Where that's one of the most difficult. I do email marketing for coaches and consultants. It's like, yeah, well, it would be really nice to sit here and just write emails to somebody's email list who they did all the work to get the emails in the first place, and you just write the emails, and then you get paid whatever the fuck amount of money, $3K, $5K a month, or like a % of the sales. It would be nice to do that, But it's hard to sell that because it's not logistically intense. Unless you have proved your competence to some extreme degree, either through a unique mechanism or an insane amount of content marketing or an insane amount of value add or an insane amount of case studies, it's going to be really difficult for you to do that. I have an email copywriter. Do you know why I hired this email copywriter? Because you worked with fucking Jordan Belfort. Like, that's why. That's why I hired him, because he was able to prove his competence. It's like the single-handedly hardest, like most difficult thing you could sell because there's no logistical intensity associated with it. So how do you make an offer that you can get paid a shit ton of money for? And it's you just do all of the shit that nobody else wants to do. It's very simple.
So I want to talk about what that looks like for our offer with Client Ascension and how we've evolved over the years to where we're at now with a placement offer.
Yeah, so we have an offer stack. So like cold email mastery. Like you can learn how to send cold emails yourself, make a lead gen business. That's the least logistically intense for us and therefore the lowest priced offer. Next is Client Ascension, where we will done with you do it, give you a guarantee that it's going to work. Not only teach you cold email, but also teach you how to make VSLs, sales pages, content marketing, sales assets, how to run a sales system, how to create client management systems, how to actually run a proper business. We'll do that with you, done with you, guarantee you get results. And now that's more logistically intense and therefore higher up. And then we have another offer where we capture even more of the logistical intensity, which is you want to make a cold email system. Well, then you got to learn the shit yourself. Or we can just recruit someone to do the whole shit for you. You pay us a recruiting fee, and then the person you get works on a commission-only basis. And then it's just capturing of logistical intensity. That's all you're doing.
And yeah, you look at like the recruiting process, there's really 2 steps to it. Well, actually a bunch of steps, right? You have the creation of the job post, which is actually the most important. It's just like creating a funnel for a new offer. So we handle that. And then you have actually sourcing the candidates. Like, where do you source talented people that are actually capable to do the job you're hiring for? So we do that. And then the interview process. How do you do an interview that is actually going to screen out the candidates that aren't qualified? We help them with that. And then the hiring process. What are the different contracts they need to sign? How do you onboard them? We do that. And then once they're actually hired, we do the most important part, which is onboarding and training to make sure they know what the fuck they're doing. And so we cover the most logistically intense parts of the process.
What's actually most difficult about it and that people don't really fully conceptualize is they think, oh, you just give me a cold email script and like give me some leads and I'll put it in and then I'm just gonna start printing calls. It's like, it doesn't work like that at all in any capacity. Because no one, like barely anybody responds to a cold email, yo, it's getting a call. It just doesn't work. What are the costs? Oh, hit up this person, the marketing manager. Oh, we already have this handled. Objection. You're going through sales. Like if you're getting 10, 20 responses a day, you're going through 10, 20 sales a day, like full sales conversations. So you need someone who actually knows what they're doing. And that is where all of the intensity lies in training somebody. Because if you don't know what to say, or if you think, how do I respond to the what are the cost objection? You're like, oh, well, let me give them like a breakdown right here. But it's like actually not the correct thing to do. And depending on what your industry is that you're cold emailing, they're going to operate differently. We've done this for whatever the fuck, how many industries, 200, 300 different unique offers at this point. We just know what to say for each one. We just give that to the cold emailer. And this is important because this is like a 10 to 20 hour a week job. Like you're going to fucking sit there in the Gmail inbox. And like, if you get a response at 8 PM or something, like you got to respond to that right there.
Yeah.
That was like the most unexpected.
No, but I feel like the
ending.
logistical intensity is literally like the business owners want more clients. They don't have the time to manage the entire system. So we take that away. And agency owners are willing to offer cold email services. Like there's no shortage of cold email agency owners at this point, but they're not willing to take on all the intensity unless they're doing it at a 70 to 80% margin, which is why the offer is better and why it's actually a unique mechanism. Because even though there is high demand, like this isn't and there's high supply, it's like an actual unique mechanism that nobody else is doing right now. But going back to your thing at the beginning, you asked, what was the favorite part of the event? So I'm going to circle back to the event. That was essentially like the opening keynote was like what you just said right there. It was like,
It was
He's just-
logistical intensity.
Yeah, he's just fucking spinning off
me
the planet.
15 minutes.
My favorite part of the event, though, was definitely the breakout sessions. Whereas, like, we left, and I was basically like, guys, we're going to do these breakout sessions, treat them as a consulting call. And the next, 3-4 hours, felt like work. It felt like an 8-hour day. But it was so rewarding because you just saw people solving the most critical issues in their business
I was in the
real time.
motherfucking trenches, bro.
Yeah,
Bro,
everybody
so
was.
was I. We were spitting
After the
bars.
second one, I got a Red Bull though, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, basically, just to paint the picture for the audience, if you weren't at the London event, I'm very sorry because you missed out on a great time.
Oh, it was so good.
Such a great time. But basically, the way we set it up is we had around, 60 people in the room, and so we broke out into 4 groups. The 4 groups were basically the 4 core pillars of how to run a good business. It's lead gen or demand generation, sales, fulfillment, and then offers, right? So we have 4 topics with experts in each topic. Like Daniel hosted the offers breakout session with David Mendez, who's a legend, and Leo. And then Christian hosted the lead gen section with Niall and Lewis, who've been working with our lead gen agency for a couple of years now. And then Dan hosted the sales section with David, Jacob, and Connor, who do sales coaching and close for us at Client Ascension. And so the setup was, like you said, really like a live coaching call in each of the 4 categories that people need to master to do well in business. But go ahead.
Yeah, like the amount of people that unprompted just started writing notes, like
What does
furiously.
Theo Vaughn say? Onward.
Is there anything from your breakout session that comes to mind right now that you could summarize for us right now? Because I could do that too.
Yeah, I think just breaking the thought pattern of like, hey, what do I say when a prospect says this? And you're like, well, what's your offer? Backtrack a couple seconds. You just realize that people, when they're doing sales, think way too formulaic instead of just like understanding what the fuck the offer is. And they're looking for like these 3 to 4 sentence like rebuttals that will just solve objections. You're like, no, if you're actually an expert at what you do and you could just talk people through it, they'll end up trusting you because they're like, oh, this person understands my issues better than I do.
Dude, I feel like
And they'll come to the conclusion with you simultaneously on the call, as opposed to you just doing like the traditional objection handling, which is like you empathize with them, you throw a rebuttal at them, and then you throw like your proposed solution.
Dude, I feel like this plays so heavily into copywriting, and I've said this on a couple of my offer calls. I'm like, you guys are thinking of copywriting as like a skill to be sold as opposed to a fundamental to understand.
Yeah.
Like if you understand copywriting, what is the whole premise of copywriting? It's delivering an argument why you should buy this thing. Right. Okay. Now walk through all of the logic and all of the possible situations by which somebody should purchase this. And if you come to all of the conclusions, you're gonna have a big giant logic branch of if this then this, if this then this. This is why you should buy here. If you follow this tree branch by this way, you should buy. If you follow it this way, you should buy. If you follow it this way, you should buy. If you follow it this way, you shouldn't buy. And there actually are people who shouldn't buy, and that's what you're trying to deduce on a sales call is just walk people through this logic branch. And if you're able to do that on your sales page or on your sales assets,
well,
then it makes it easier on the call.
That's what was happening. We were doing like a good amount of like just live role playing there, and somebody would throw an objection at me, and I would ask for more information. I would give them my response, and then this one student just kept writing everything down. We're like, dude, like stop writing this down. Like this is super specific made up scenario. Like these answers are, I'm never going to say the same thing twice on the call. It's just from my understanding of what he said, I'm walking him through why his thought process was incorrect in the first place. And he's like, oh. And then he goes back to write. I'm like, dude, drop the fucking pen.
I've never taken a sales call in my life, but what I've deduced is you want to pull out their pain points in the beginning and then use those pain points as a solution at the end to sell it to them. Is that logical?
I
thinking?
mean,
Oh, hey, Christian.
No. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I just,
Put me on the calendar, boys.
I mean,
yeah,
it's just.
I was like, that's like a gross
it's just-
oversimplification of what we're talking
like,
about.
just-
That's all he does on a day-to-day,
Yeah.
bro, and nothing else.
It's
I was like, what are you struggling with? They're like, need leads. I can do that for you. And then right here, take my money.
Yeah, I mean, like if someone says you drop a price, oh, that price seems steep. Compared to what?
I mean,
I think what I could probably do is I think I could just go get a VA to go get the leads and then and send it through my email software right here. It's like, oh, okay, well, I've actually experienced that before. And what happens with these VAs is they're going to tell you they're going to get you a bunch of leads, and while yeah, they're going to technically get you leads and emails, it's going to be info@support@emails. They're not going to have access to the kind of data that we do via ListKit. And then additionally, you can't just drop these into your email marketing newsletter. Like, you got to actually set up
Yeah.
like an automations platform and do multi-domain routing and warm the domains up to make sure they actually get delivered. And you don't want to do it on your main inbox because then it's going to get burned. But it's like,
I mean, I've had a few people ask me, like, what's the pricing on the placement offer? I stated it, and then I stated why. They're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, of course. It's just different when you're live on a call and like you're physically trying to pull over like $15,000 from somebody.
Yeah.
Like the uncomfort, the nerves that you have to talk through. It's a lot more stuff than just like, hey, does this make sense? Yes. But it's like, okay, why do I have to do this now?
So do you feel like it matters how much they charge on their end? Because I was on a call with 2 web design guys, like talking about copy and stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, tell me about the placement offer. Like, what's the fee? I told them the fee. Explain why there's a fee because we have to place the, like, recruit the guy, train him, consult with him, make sure you get results, all this shit. And they were like, yeah, okay. Because they charge 15 to 20K on their end.
Yeah, so of course
for
it
a
matters,
website.
'cause
So
that's
they're
gonna,
like,
yeah, you got one deal, you're good. Like,
yeah.
But it's not even that. But they understand why we command that price point because they command a bigger price point for a website. But like if a guy's charging 2K, is it harder for him to realize like, oh, why would I ever pay you this much?
Well, yeah, I think you're
depending on what their retention looks
Yeah,
like.
I think you might. There would be a differentiation between someone who's charging 2K versus someone who's charging 2K and is currently at 200K a month, right?
There's
So
that,
someone-
and there's also LTV. Like, what does the retention look like?
Yeah, and
on
if someone
2K a month?
if someone's business is too small, they can't conceptualize the concept of LTV in the first place because it's like they make 6K a month.
They've been
and-
in business for
Yeah.
2-3 months.
Yeah, they associate the income of their business as their personal income, and then if you like P&L call today, the analysis of Client Ascension is via like an entirely separate entity versus our personal incomes. Like it's just like you just think of it different. Where it's like, how can I deploy this X amount of capital to get a specific return at least above 2X? And you just think of it differently.
Yeah, no, so I think it's how much they charge, but I also think of like what type of business owner it is. Because for somebody like our boy Brian Moncada, like he just hears that and he's like, yeah, that makes sense, let's do it. And you just like send the invoice, like no further thought. But for somebody who's at like 5 to 10K a month, the odds that they've seen substantial ROI on a 5-figure investment is next to zero. Just because if they had, they likely wouldn't be at 5 to 10K a month. So when you get them on a sales call, they can say, yes, that makes sense. But then either because they had a bad experience before or because they just have that self-limiting belief that they can actually afford to spend that much money, number one, and will actually see return on that, number two, is where they start to kind of like freak out a little bit.
But then it's so logical. It's like, okay, go sign with a lead gen agency and pay 4 months of a retainer and you're at the same place you were with us. And now you owe more on top of that, whereas with us, it's all paid off.
The biggest difference too is a lot of these guys that are in the 5 to 10K a month range, they have the luxury of time, which means they can go through a done with you offer because they have the time to learn and implement. Whereas a placement offer is for guys like you said, like Brian, that are managing a team, that are managing $200,000 worth of client revenue. They don't have the time to go out, learn cold email, and implement it. And so that's also the differentiator and why, as a business, you have to, like Ty told us on the podcast, do it yourself for beginners, done with you for guys in that middle level, and then done for you is really for like the whale clients, like the Jordan Belforts of the industry.
If you pay attention, you can see on the applications that we get inside Slack, just inherently the amount of better businesses that submit an application for the placement offer is way better, just because of the phrasing and whole idea of the offer in the first place. Larger businesses, they don't like Andre just said, they do not have the luxury of free time. They need all of the logistical intensity packaged up into the offer.
Yeah.
The only caveat I would put on that is like done with you or just like straight consulting can make a lot of sense if they have somebody in-house that's already there and kind of underperforming, where you're consulting one of their own employees.
Yeah, I can give another example of this. I want to learn SEO right now. Like I just do. And I hit someone up on Client Ascension. I was like, hey, bro, can you send me like a coaching thing on SEO? Like, I want you to teach me everything you know about SEO. I want to know how to do this. And I can go buy course. If you have a course, I'll buy the course. I don't care. Just teach me how to do this. I just want to know. Sometimes it's just different people want different things. And that's what's important about having an offer stack. But big caveat, if you're at like fucking 10K a month, don't make an offer stack because you're just going to get too confused. You're not going to know how to operate it correctly. This is like a thing where it's like you get to $1 million a year, you can start introducing other offers. You can do that thing.
Yeah. I tell guys in the program all the time, like our lead gen agency, Knowledge X, we got to 100K a month with one offer, posting on Twitter and sending cold emails. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah. And you just do it long enough. You do it for so
while.
long. And this is so crazy. Like,
It wasn't that long though. It was like a year and a
Year and a
half.
half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Which, if you tell
Dude,
that to
that's
most
so
people,
fast.
it's like. But then the other person sitting there being like, "Oh, like 2 years."
yeah,
is a
well,
long
you
time.
you say, oh, I built a 100K a month in a year, but or a year and a half. They're like, but they don't understand that the first 6 months of it was fucking zero, and then the next 6 months of it was still like shaky, and then the last 6 months was like, oh, we're good. And people were, oh, it's still that's not a lot of time until you're like the individual human experimenting
In it.
every one of those 365 days.
Yeah.
Then it's different. And
Yeah.
people can't stick with that. So this is so interesting. I saw this stat one time. It was in another book that I read this, and they said I'm going to use random numbers. It's like 92% of all quotes from a book are within the first 20 pages of a book. And the reason why that is because no one finishes the book.
The LeBron James paradox.
I used random numbers there. They aren't correct, but it's the premise. That's almost all of the quotes from books on the internet are from the first 20% or the first fifth of the books that they're quoted from. Because most people picking up a book just don't get to the end of the book. It makes hella sense. So most people who start a business don't get past the third month. Like,
Yeah.
it just makes sense.
And I could relate that to your question, which was like, or your question was like, what was the biggest takeaway from your session at the event? So my breakout session had to do with operations and fulfillment. And I feel like the biggest topic we covered is the importance of the first 30 days in the onboarding experience. And I feel like that's one thing that Client Ascension gets the best feedback on is the onboarding experience itself. And it just goes to exactly what you said. Like when someone joins a program, that's like the peak state for them of interest and buy-in. And then it starts to wean off like naturally because other things come up.
I don't know if you remember this, but this is right before we had student success coaches. I did an interview with everyone, and I was like, just feedback from the
Yeah.
clients, like, how do you want this to be improved? And someone said something. It was a phrase, and they said, I don't want to feel like I get lost in the ether of Client Ascension. And then I took that shit personally. I was like, no one can get lost in the ether of Client Ascension. So then we made student success
Yeah.
coaches, and you will hear direct one-on-one. You will get direct one-on-one coaching 3 times, like message to you minimum 3 times a week, and we will force you to work with us, and you will not get lost in the ether.
Yeah. So that's exactly it. Is how can you emulate that experience throughout a coaching program?
Do you know what's so funny is you can hear motherfuckers say shit like, about to go build in silence or some shit like that. And what they're building in silence is like new ads. And it's like, us would be like, no, we're building in silence via like what the fucking product is to the point where you experience it and you're like, whoa, this is really good. Like this is like insanely good. So someone comes into Client Ascension, maybe they decide to not renew. Most people do because it's phenomenal, but maybe they decide to not. And they go join some other program because they want to network. Oh, I want to go see what else is out there. And then they go see what else is out there, and it's all ugly bitches. It's all ugly bitches.
Pretty much.
You and Client Ascension were the
Ugly
baddie. She's fucking bad, bro. You don't even know. And please get back with me, please, sir.
Sure, we'll take them back
She's fucking
for the right
bad,
price. For the
bro.
right price.
I'd smash. Personally,
All right, my favorite part of the event.
Wait, hold up. Andre didn't even say this. Did you?
just did.
I thought you were just like a broad topic. Like, was there a specific?
Oh no, just like the importance of onboarding and like what goes into a good experience.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with we're doing like a book club with all the coaches in Client Ascension right now. On a
that's
book called
fire.
Yeah, there's a book called Unreasonable Hospitality. It's written by the owner of 11 Madison Park, I think it's called. It's like the #1 restaurant in the world. And he talks about how, and as soon as I heard this, Patrick Bet David
We have to
talked
try
about
that
it.
place.
Well,
Field
no, I
trip.
looked it up.
That's
actually
actually not. That's not his restaurant. That's the one he worked at.
Okay, I didn't know that. I looked it up. They just went vegan, and I was like, oh, fuck this.
no,
But-
never mind.
Yeah, literally, what the
Book
hell?
club
I might
over.
like end the book club at this
No,
point.
it's not him. That's not his. We're
All right.
misquoting it.
Anyways, this book, basically the premise of
makes
this
a vegan
book
restaurant?
is that the restaurant had the best chefs and the best food in the world, yet they could never crack the top 50 of like the top restaurants awards. And so I feel like Client Ascension is that way in a way, right? We have the best product, we have the best coaching, we have the best results, but it's the way you deliver and package it through the student experience. And the name of the book is Unreasonable Hospitality. And so there's stories in the book of how like it's all about restaurants, but we take it the same concepts and apply it to coaching. And like one of the ways they're unreasonable in their hospitality is like someone comes to the restaurant and they'll go out and they'll pay their valet parking meter. And it's like, how can we do like things like that inside of a coaching business? So it's like when someone joins the program, they get like a personalized video introduction from their student success coach. They get like a 2-hour onboarding one-on-one call with their student success coach. They're getting
Business health audits.
Business health audits.
Oh, that's
like
the best.
just crazy amounts of
The
like
master doc with the activation points.
Like just
Oh,
unreasonable hospitality
so
at every
good.
single point. And so yeah, that's what we talked about with
I
my
bought
group.
one dude a microphone.
Yeah, like
You needed a mic-
unreasonable hospitality. Someone joins your coaching program and you send them a fucking microphone. Like
Yeah.
they're not. That's not part of the contract or part of the expectation they have when signing up. But it's just what can you do to go above and beyond? And like the biggest theme, Jordan Paris said this actually. He said, "Fuck scope of work. Like just go above and beyond for your students." And it's the unscalable stuff.
Dude, I say that to people as well when with their clients. I'm like, do the stuff that will enable them to get better. So it's like, okay, you're a cold email lead gen agency and like they're having a tough time closing their sales calls. Or like
Yep.
the leads are unqualified. And you might just sit there and be like, oh, well, how about you ask for the sales call recordings
Yeah.
or set up some automations and some follow-up templates inside their CRM. They're like, oh, well, that's not a part of the contract, but who cares? It enables them to get better results for what you have provided for them.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you will intrinsically make money from it if they get better results from the product you sold them.
Through retention, simply.
Yes.
It's like the
This go-
contract doesn't matter if you lose it.
Yeah, this goes into like you can just see it when someone's trying to like maximize cash now as opposed to maximizing long-term value.
Yeah.
You just see it. You just by how they move and what they're doing with their
Yeah.
clients, it's easy to tell. You have to be maximizing for long-term value because this is what's really crazy to me. People think, oh, well, what about 5 years from now? Like, well, where do you want the business to be 5 years from now? And they can't. A lot of people can't conceptualize that. To which I would tell you, well, you're going to be alive 5 years from now anyway. Like, why not just optimize for your situation 5 years? You will be here. Like, assume you're not going to die. You probably won't.
God willing. Knock on wood a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's a good
yeah,
point.
the great book, by the way. And also, just a quick tip for anybody who has an incurably short attention span and maybe a tingitism if they'd rather sit there and make 20 cold
Tingitism.
calls as opposed to like read 20 pages straight or just do anything else and just move around. Audiobook and reading it at the same time. It's like the most
Right, I saw you.
soothing thing my brain has ever
I saw you
experienced.
doing that on the plane.
I
All
was
right,
like this,
context. We got business class JetBlue Mint, and we get these little fucking pods, and Dan's in front of me in the pod, and I look at Dan's pod, and he's sitting here, he's got his headphones in and the audio.
I'm reading
He's
like
reading
so
the book at the
slow.
same time, and I'm like, what
floating.
the fuck are you
He's, like,
doing?
floating
dude?
out
I
of the
actually
pod.
like that's I think like what ancient is it Buddhism or Hindu? Well, that's like enlightenment in my opinion. Like, you
Audio
read
book
it
and reading at the same
at
time.
the same time
Yeah,
with a
yeah.
good book. You start floating in time.
Bro, you know what's crazy? You know how I saw this I read this in another book as well. What you know how
Sick
people
flex.
say, oh, I'm a visual learner or I'm an auditory learner. So, oh, I'm not a visual learner. It's bullshit. Everybody's a visual learner. Everybody. And this is why I tell motherfuckers in
What
Client
about
Ascension.
blind people?
Yeah, they're done for. I tell motherfuckers in Client
Wait,
Ascension,
actually.
I'm like,
Never mind.
make flow charts. Make flow charts and graphs and pictures and shit that depict what you're doing in your service and your mechanisms. Like show. Motherfuckers love flow
I
charts.
feel like that's why Hormozy's book did so well. Like low key.
Does Gamma
Yeah.
let you make that shit?
Yeah, I'd make that shit in Gamma.
You can just make a chart. In
Shout
Gamma.
out Gamma. Gamma.app.
Pretty based.
/wizard.
You guys mind if I cut in or am I tracking your
Oh,
style?
Christian, you're here.
I was gonna say
Is he even on the podcast?
my favorite
anymore?
part of the event
No one cares, bro. All right, I got another topic. Ready?
was. Do you want to hear it or you just want to?
Not really, but you could go. Sorry.
What's that video? Is it with like Earl Sweatshirt or Taco where he's like, I don't care. I don't
I
care.
was gonna fucking say my favorite part of the event was just being able to shake someone's hand and see them in person and have them say like thank you. Like that just
Yeah.
Oh, shout out Tim Jarvis, bro.
yeah,
All right.
legend based.
All right, Tim. This was the best offer refinement ever. Yeah, fuck off. this is the best. This is a Client Ascension special. We had Tim Jarvis come in, and his offer is helping video agencies get enterprise contracts. He's like really fucking good. Like he's really, really good at this. So I told him, and he was charging like some like monthly fee, whatever the fuck. And I was like, listen, here's what you're selling. You're selling a $50,000 contract. It's 10% up front, and the rest of the $45K is due only if and after the client signs $1 million in ARR. And then he sent a message, and the client said he signed 3 in a day on a $50K contract. For the LTV of that client would have ordinarily been like $2K or $4K. It's fucking $50K now. And even if he does get his clients' results, I think he has a 100% success rate so far.
Yeah, he crushes it.
Even if, hypothetical situation, he only had a 20% success rate, the LTV would still be like 7 times, 8 times larger than what he already had. And it's a totally fucking reasonable value proposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to make $1 million. I want $50K of the $1 million. You only have to pay 10% of the $50K. And the rest of it is only due after you sign the $1 million.
Yeah.
Which is like, it makes so much sense.
Well, and it's just like a really good offer. Like he teaches video production guys how to solve their biggest pain point that no one else is just pitching them that.
Yeah, it's a unique positioning in the first place as well.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll show you how to turn your one-time thing. Like every video agency's number one pain point is they only get paid one time and then the video's over. He's like, oh, I'll show you how to get ongoing retainers.
Yeah,
for your
and
videos.
it's an implicit guarantee. Sometimes you can force an implicit guarantee. And what I mean by that is, say you're a cold email agency, you have a setup fee, and then you do cost per call. So like you make all the money on the cost per call. It's an implicit guarantee. You pay as you get results. So now let's take Tim as an example, this video agency thing. If he was selling this as like a $5K coaching offer, then he just has to sell a $5K coaching offer. But he artificially created an implicit guarantee. Because no, it's actually $50K. But he only do 10% up front.
give it to you for
You
5.
forced an implicit guarantee.
Yeah, he's not offering a guarantee on the full terms of the contract.
No, I think he actually does also. So there's an implicit
No,
guarantee.
no. But what I'm saying is, if you were to just sell a coaching
that was like
program
a
for
lot of-
5K,
That was a lot of no's. That was
I
crazy.
had to stop him in his tracks.
was like
he
10.
goes, he may go for 10 minutes. But if it was just 5K, you'd have to have some sort of crazy guarantee risk reversal just on the 5K investment,
Yes.
where you don't have to have that there.
Correct. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you have the implicit guarantee. It's like, oh, this guy isn't making 90% of what he's gonna make if I don't get it. Yeah, it's implicit guarantee. It's fucking crazy, bro. You could probably get ballsier with it too if you got like, you'll sign 3 mil ARR and the contract is 100K.
Yeah.
And you only pay 5% up front. And now it's like, holy shit!
And it's realistic because he's working with like massive
Yeah, and,
brands,
like, he's
like
done it.
Fortune 500 companies.
yeah.
That's also, he's booked 19 calls in the past 2 days, which is that puts him at a
The Client Ascension special. Join clientascension.com. Link in description.
19 calls 2
/.
days. That's like a 3,000 call per year run rate.
Christian, what do you got?
I don't know, bro. I forgot. No, I was just gonna say the best part about the event is just the in-person interaction. That's always it. For
It was
me.
actually cool to see for me too because people were coming up to you just being like, "Dude, your scripts were
Yeah,
cooking."
I'm like I haven't
bro."
heard from you in 6 months, and you're a little square on my Slack chat, and now you're telling me all this good stuff about your business.
You called him a square.
Square and Slack.
I shouldn't have assumed their shit.
Bro, our
but
fucking Slack bills.
It makes your work so much more rewarding too. If you just do all online, like now it's not like the little square
Yeah.
in your Slack chat. You're helping
Dude.
a person who
Like,
you
I-
personally know.
Literally, my favorite part was at the after party. There's a game called Piccolo. It's like a drinking game where you just ask a bunch of stupid questions, and just like hearing the students talk about like personal shit and funny stuff was like
Yeah, dude.
the
I
most
was
fun for me.
I was talking about this with David. I was like, in his like
like
little
Ryan Hildebrand, funny motherfucker. Bro. Would have never guessed.
the interview was doing with him. We were talking about it. It was like, bro, this is just fun. Like all these motherfuckers are running their little coaching program, their little consulting offer.
Nobody does it like Client Ascension.
Yeah.
Who's doing in-person events besides us? Please
And
fucking tell
all
me.
these other motherfuckers are so boring, bro. They're so boring. Show up to the coaching call. Or you come to the fucking rooftop in London and get fucked up with everyone, and it's like hella fun. 300-person event in Tampa.
October 28th.
October 28th, 2023.
We might just rent out Bar Howard. Just rent it all out.
Yeah.
It's needed though too, because it's like the exact opposite of like the status quo right now, which is like monk mode. Like you don't see any of your friends. You stay inside.
Yeah,
you
which
work.
is just objectively incorrect.
And it's not sustainable.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm the chief fun officer. So.
Yeah, correct. So let me fucking explain why that is monk mode shit is objectively incorrect. So
Short form clip
let me give somebody an analogy.
5'11" max.
You go to the bar and you go with one of your friends. Just you and your friend. You walk into the bar. You're getting drinks, whatever. You're not really like loud or rowdy. Like you're just kind of keeping to yourself with your friends. You talk to a couple people, whatever. But if you walk into the bar, you walk into the club, and you got 15, 20 people with you, you got girls, you got a table, you're going to start making noise. You're going to be fucking loud. You're going to draw attention to yourself because drawing attention to yourself is objectively risky, right? So if you are running business by yourself, you don't have any friends who do the same shit as you, it's super fucking boring, you can't do anything risky because you don't have force behind you. So you doing business and being in a community with other people who are doing the same thing as you is the equivalent of you walking into the club with 15, 20 people and you have a table and you get the fucking bottles with the sparkler or some bullshit. It's the same thing. You have force behind you, and that is exactly the reason why I was living in Tampa for a long time by myself, and then I moved to Miami. Why did I move to Miami? To be around other people, because I knew I needed to be physically next to these people because it will accelerate what I'm doing. And then these guys moved to Tampa, so I moved back to Tampa, and then other people started moving back to Tampa. We're doing a little propaganda campaign. Everybody moved to fucking Tampa.
It's so funny. All the Miami guys are like, "Oh, the suburbs are better." I'm like, Tampa's basically a suburban city.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, monk mode is bullshit. Yes, monk mode, yes, correct, but you don't have to do monk mode alone. You can do monk mode with other people who are doing what you do, and you build relationships with the people. And this, I always tell people this. I go, when you join Client Ascension, you're gonna get a welcome message. It's gonna tag you. You're gonna be in the general chat. It's going to say, everybody welcome this person. You're going to get a bunch of people saying, welcome, good stuff, bro. You're going to love it here. Like, it's the best place to be. You have a very unique position right here to explain what you do. Talk about your story. Talk about what you do. And if you put an actual effort into this, you're going to get hella people start messaging you. And then to further augment this, you're going to be on a team because you get assigned a personal student success coach. That student success coach is also in charge of other people. So what's going to happen is you're going to go on a team channel and you're going to compete against the other teams. And now you're in a team of people and you make relationships with there and they have office hours and you go to the office hours and then you'll find 17 coaching calls a week and go to the coaching calls, the same people showing up to the same ones. You start talking with people. You start actually having conversation with people. You're talking to the DMs because you can DM other people in there. You make your own fucking group chats and shit inside of Client Ascension. And then people start becoming friends. And that's exactly what has happened. Like we go to the London event, we aggregate all these people in one room. And then
What do you think's happening?
yeah, like students start hanging out with each other because they're already friends. And it's like this motherfucker lives in Michigan. This motherfucker lives in Germany.
Yeah.
And it's like somehow you're boys. And it's like, oh, cool. That's because of Client Ascension. So you need to be augmenting your reality. Because while you might not be able to live, while you might not be able to live,
Some AR.
AR whiz.
you might not be able to live with people doing what
Yeah.
you're doing, but you can definitely be in an online community and get in Zoom chats and actually hang out with them.
And there's
You
two
can
like
do
really cool parts
Welcome
about
to
that.
our
One is if you're around people who are doing the same shit, there's really nothing new under the sun. Somebody's going to be facing the same issue. And we've all had that like conversation with somebody where you're about to do something, you ask somebody else who runs like a similar business, and they save you like literally hours and hours of work and like thousands of dollars. Like if you're in a good community like Client Ascension /yes, it's
Don't,
like
that's not actually the domain.
I
People
know.
are going to be like,
it's
it's
not
a
a
running-
fucking URL.
it's a running joke, all right? Shout out Nick Verge,
No.
fucking legend. But like, it's physically impossible not to have those conversations on a weekly basis
Yeah.
if you're actually active. And then the second cool part is like what Christian always talks about. You just have like these connections around the globe. And like we're going to go to Ireland in October and we'll have like literally 10 friends there.
Literally 15
Dude,
Guinnesses.
bro, we can go literally, bro. You can go to fucking
Anywhere.
Indonesia.
Morocco,
Calvin, fucking Marcos,
Israel.
he's there right now. Yeah, Israel. You go anywhere. There's someone. Client says, "Oh, we made the fucking meetups chat."
Yup.
That's so
Genius.
smart. People are meeting up in person now.
Like there was some dude who's like, who's in Warsaw? And like 3 people responded
This
today.
motherfuckers, 4
Yo, we
people
should run
in
a contest.
Warsaw.
The coolest photo with the Client Ascension shirt wins like a free
Yeah.
month. Or
Oh,
something.
yeah. That's another favorite part of the event.
Join
The
Client
merch.
Ascension. We will send you a shirt.
And if you
Christian,
take a
can
picture
you-
with the shirt at the Great Wall of China, you will win a free month.
Hold on. Can you just like stand up and give us a little twirl?
Yeah.
Showcase the merch?
No.
Come on. Dance
No.
for me, boy.
But my favorite part about events like this is like we've been to the Gary Vee events and the Cardone events, and like I've personally been in the audience at those events, and I find myself like going on my phone or going on my computer or even just dipping out to just walk around the city and do something else, because it's a lot of keynotes where people are just talking to you, and like that gets old after a while.
Yep.
And I feel like one thing we do really well at the Client Ascension event is we bring like ourselves down, like we are at the same level as these students.
yeah,
They don't
yeah.
kind of see us as like some celebrity, so it makes us really easy to integrate ourselves in those conversations. And literally, at every moment of this London event, every time I looked up, there was not one person in the room that wasn't in conversation with someone else.
Dude, yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what conversations
On the
are being
rooftop,
had
I was
right
just
now?
like, these combinations of
Yeah.
conversations are insane.
Oh, dude, the rooftop
crazy.
is so
It was
It was like
fun,
Oliver
dude.
and fucking
And like Jordan
Andre
Parrish
and
comes
then-
over to me at dinner. He's like, "Yo, bro, I just signed Cam. Like, we're gonna work together." I'm like, "That's like, there's so many deals and partnerships that are happening just by being in that room."
Economic flow in this. Bitch.
Economic flow. Like, literally, our first event in Tampa, we're shooting here a podcast with Cam. He's recording for Nick and Logan's podcast. And Presley's in the other room. He's one of our students in Client Ascension. He meets Cam. They end up partnering up, and then now they're just dominating the short form industry.
So there's this in like in economics, there's this concept of velocity of money, and it's how fast people acquire money and then spend it, and you want to circulate it around the system as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And you want to aggregate money towards the system. So like the United States. So like a nation. Like, can you get other nations to give you money and then take that money and make it circulate fast around the nation as fast as possible and be like self-sustaining like that? And I feel like you could equate it to a nation where there's hella people going to cold traffic,
Yeah.
bringing money in, and then it circulates around Client Ascension as well. It disperses here a little bit, and then someone brings it back into the system here, and it just circulates super fucking fast. It's like an actual economic force.
We're like
it's
a
really
nightclub
cool.
of programs.
This is like the perfect
We're like a
example, though.
nightclub.
Like
And-
Client Ascension does this so well. Like we're just doing our P&L call. It's funny the timing of this podcast, but like we spend $200,000 a month on the business, and like that's the circulation of it. We're reinvesting in coaches. We're reinvesting in software. Like all these different things.
And we buy shit from the students. So
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
If we need something, it's priority. We use someone at Client Ascension. Priority.
Yep.
That's the first option. And rarely anyone here is gonna make a fucking tweet like, "Oh, can someone do this?" So, no, it's going to Client Ascension first. If someone says they can do it, we're gonna pay them.
And it's not even because they paid us first. That's really not the reason. It's just you're a different level of business owner if you have the competence to invest in yourself in a good program like ours.
Yeah, like just at the event, we were talking about YouTube with Jake Trinder, and he's telling Christian and I like all these different optimizations we can make to our channels. And today, literally, he sent the proposal, we signed. Like, we are also part of that economic flow, which is, I think, so cool.
Yeah, like you said, we're on their same level. It's not like we're above and it's just like everybody gives us money, then they interact with each other. It's like, no, we've invested in Client Ascension students, like their respective services, at least like 4 or 5 times at this point. Minimum, probably more. But we've talked a lot about the event. It's already passed. It's in the past, boys.
Damn.
Going forward, let's talk about the next one.
So
one.
here's another important thing to mention, right? So the cool thing that the events do is they like light a spark, right? So everyone that's at those events, what are they thinking right now? They're thinking, and this includes our team, which is the coolest part of it all, right? The team that was at the event, the students that were at the event, they're thinking I'm going to go back into my business. I'm going to grind really fucking hard so that I can be at the next event. And so like the downtime between events, I think is really interesting because it's what allows these students to travel to London, buy a hotel room, buy a flight, buy a ticket, buy food, and be in that room in the first place. And so what's happening right now, even though there's not an event right now, not until October, between now and October, there's going to be so many more success stories that are created because of the time scarcity of like the next events in October.
Yeah, it's just like creating an artificial deadline for yourself to get
like
shit
I
done.
want to be in a good place with my business by the next event is what these students are thinking.
It's not
right
just
now.
like good place. Like I don't want to skim by. Like you want to be at like the fucking
Yo, you know what we
edition
should
top
do?
floor.
We should do a referral program where whoever refers us the most people gets a free flight to Tampa.
Nah, that's some gay shit.
No comment. Why would you say that? Man. PTSD, bro. But when are we doing it? Did we announce the date yet?
Yeah, October 28th in Tampa, Florida.
October 28th. It's my
October
brother's
28th.
birthday. I can't go.
Perfect. We'll make him a keynote.
Sorry.
Yo,
Too damn bad.
He's a doctor. We'll have
Fury
him
and
give
Ganu
some-
watch party at the event.
Yeah, I feel like it's in Saudi Arabia though, so it might be a weird time.
Yeah, it'll be during the event. We just do
Be
a
during
watch
the
party.
event.
That's what happened last time. Who was fighting last time?
Well, last time there.
Sugar
Okay,
Sean O'Malley and Peter Yan.
So last event there was a UFC fight during the event, and everyone was on their phone watching. We should just do a watch party of the fucking boxing match because everyone's gonna watch it anyway.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. Like all 300 people watching a boxing.
That's going to be a
match.
bad fight, though. And Ganu's going to get his shit.
All right, so it'll be a 2-minute
Kids.
watch party, then we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, October 28th. This event is in line with what we did last year in Tampa, which is more of like a conference style rather than like a more intimate mastermind. But what we're gonna do leading up to the event are like VIP days. So the conference on Saturday will be like a bigger business conference, but if you buy VIP, you'll have like access to a VIP day with a smaller group of people where we'll do a lot of the same like breakout sessions that we talked about.
Yeah, there's totally going to be a ticket tier where you're going to get an open bar somewhere, and it's going to be great.
That
So-
part's nice too. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I mean, the biggest thing that like my favorite takeaway from the whole thing, I was like, yeah, like fun aside, just like the shit that you learned here today, how much is that worth to you? And everybody was throwing out crazy numbers, and like multiple people asked me, why didn't you guys charge more? So just to make this clear, like you are going to learn shit, number one, if you have a business especially. But number two, for like the larger event, like this past one was like mainly just people in Client Ascension. This is going to be anybody. We're going to try to sell, what, 300 tickets?
250 sold. The rest of the 50 are for like our team and
So
whatnot.
like there will be 100 tickets of people outside of the community. So if you're watching by happenstance, want to come to the event, not in the community, that's fine.
I posted on
Yeah.
my story, and like 5 people in Tampa that run businesses that are not in Client Ascension were like, I'm there.
And Alex Hormozy, if you're watching this, if you want to come speak, we just fill out the application below this video, and we'll see if you're fit.
Dad, please. Just tell your dad to have him come speak, bro.
Yeah, Alex Ramosy's my dad. We talk on Twitter. It's no, like you actually DM with him sometimes. I'd show people and be like, "Yeah, I messaged with him." And just scroll real quick.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Bro,
You
what?
gotta get
We should make that
That's
the
my
opening
dad.
to the
Alex
podcast.
Ramosi is my father.
That right there, that clip is like the first 5 seconds.
Alex,
That's like the name of the episode.
Dad,
Yeah.
Dad, you better be in fucking Tampa, October 28th.
Speaking of like higher level names, one of the cool parts of the London event as well was getting Ty Lopez on the podcast. When this episode's released, we'll actually have the Ty Lopez episode
He'll
out
be
on
a
the
speaker
channel.
at the event.
What's up?
He'll be a speaker at the event.
Maybe. But anyways, like talk about the experience of like, first off, tell the story. I feel like we haven't talked about it on social media at all, but
Well,
everyone's always asking
at this
like, how'd
point,
you
the
get
Ty
him on?
Lopez episode is out, but we went
Yeah.
to a Miami Heat game that somebody had bought his NFT, not one of us. It's your cousin's boyfriend, correct? And they invited Andre because the family connection. Andre invited me because we're both huge Miami Heat fans. And the game itself was sick. Best sporting event I've ever been to. By far, Jimmy Butler
Yeah.
dropped like 55 points. They beat the Bucks. It was the playoffs. I was hyped. I was just as locked into the game as anything else. But it was all like the whole premise of it was you get to sit in a box with Ty Lopez, which was sick because obviously we had all come up, looked up to Ty Lopez, and just seeing what he did through internet marketing. He's just one of the OGs in that space. But he was kind of like going around asking everybody like, yo, what's your name? What are you doing? Kind of just casual stuff. And then when I started talking about Client Ascension, what we're doing, obviously he's super familiar with like this whole space. So I think he gravitated towards that a little bit more. And then I started talking about like what his sales director was doing, seeing if I could provide some value to him. And it just so happened that he was also looking into a similar program that we're currently in. So I was giving him pointers saying like, yo, I'm happy to connect at any time. And just between that and the game, like just connected on a decent level, probably talked for like 30 minutes to an hour. And then I think it was 3-4 weeks ago at this point, we had all decided like, yo, we got to start doing outreach for the podcast. We got to get other people on, like reaching out to a bigger name each week. It was just like a small input goal of ours. And it just so happened that I'd reached out to Ty a couple weeks ago, and then we realized he was going to be in London at the same dates as us. So I followed up with him via WhatsApp, just basically sent him a message, voice note, whatever. He had gotten right back to me, said connect with my assistant, followed up with her until we finally nailed down a time. And it was funny because the communication was like spotty at times. And these guys were like, yo, are they coming? Are they coming? And I was like,
The craziest part, bro, was like this London trip was insane. There were a lot of just things we had to deal with to get there. But one of the things that happened, and this is tying back to Client Ascension and why it's such a valuable community to be a part of. So we had our videographer, Cam, who was supposed to fly in the morning of when the Thai episode was scheduled for. And, like, the time zones are different. So, like, I wake up to a text from Cam the morning of the Ty Lopez podcast saying, hey, like, my flight got overbooked. I'm not going to be there. And so now I'm thinking, like, we have a podcast booked with Ty Lopez in, like, 4 hours in this random hotel in the middle of London. We need 4 microphones for podcasts. We need 4 cameras to shoot the podcast. Like, how the hell are we going to make this work? Because we can't reschedule with this guy, right? And so I posted in Client Ascension, like, crisis. Like, we have a big podcast scheduled. Does anyone in the vicinity of where we are right now have the equipment needed to film a podcast? And literally within 5 minutes, one of the Client Ascension students, shout out Hasnain, was like, oh, yeah, I'll send my team right away. This dude literally sent his team from
Right
like...
away.
He sent his team right away.
literally right away. And the podcast, you probably have seen it at this point because it's on the channel now, but it's our best produced podcast of the entire channel. And so shout out to Hasnain and his team for coming through clutch. But it just, again, speaks to what Daniel was saying earlier. It's like
shout out to
being
me
in
for
his
bringing my
community.
sales microphone on the trip like a dork. Came in handy. I
Yeah.
was like, I got one.
Yeah, it was a makeshift setup in terms of audio. But the camera quality I thought was super crisp. But it's just crazy, man. Like, there's so much value in having, like, a community that is there but will also, like, fight for you, right? Because there's something to be said about being in a community with a lot of people that don't really know you or don't really care about you. But I feel like the culture around Client Ascension is, like, everyone is in that, like, mindset of how can I help?
Yeah.
And that goes such a long way.
Yeah, it's also like moments like that, just the whole London trip leading up to it is like the epitome of why entrepreneurship is so fun. Just like all the fires that we had to put out beforehand. We get to the Airbnb. There's a fucking pan, like a pot of water, just like on the bed. And I'm like, what's this? I was like, oh, the ceiling's leaking. The pot is not even in the right place. It's just pouring on the bed. And we're like, okay, that's a problem. Somebody needs to sleep there because the Airbnb was like 5 times smaller than advertised. Everything was on top of it. There was this huge dining table so big that you couldn't even like walk into the kitchen.
It's a sick loft, bro.
Yeah.
Or a
So
flat, sick
anyways,
flat.
so they get like the fucking the engineers there to fix the leak.
Fuck that
And they
guy.
open it up and waterfall, just like they're literally filling garbage bags full of water in there. The whole place smells like mold and chemicals. I can barely breathe. I'm like, dude, this is hell. We're getting out of there. So like that was supposed to be where we filmed the podcast. So we had to find a new hotel.
Blessing in disguise.
We had to pray that we got a refund, which we ended up getting a refund from Airbnb. We had to find a new venue from that. Luckily, the Marriott that was right down the street ended up having a pretty sick conference room that we're able to set up, which is like the bookshelves that you'll see if you look at that podcast. But then you just like exhale after it's all finished. And even the rest of the trip was like stressful putting everything together. But it was like right when we had finished everything, there was just an open bar and a rooftop. And you're
Yep.
just like,
Yeah.
like
It's so great.
like that's just shit you're never gonna get that working, you know, at a 9 to 5.
But that's
I
like
hate
the-
like shit on 9 to 5 sites, but it's just like it's concretely different. It's more fun.
That's just like the perfect way to describe like entrepreneurship. It's just
Yeah.
like like literally you wake up and it's like, what's gonna go wrong today? Like, what's the problem I'm gonna have to solve?
Yeah, this
today?
is a debilitating problem with people who maybe they're just getting started or something. They think everything needs to be clean and smooth, and the reality of the situation is that it's not going to be at all in any capacity whatsoever. Everything is messy.
Yep.
We like
you just
it
have
rough,
to,
man.
huh?
What?
Wait, what'd you say?
What? No.
She's still here.
Do a twirl, show the shirt. Make yourself
I'm
useful.
too dizzy from the cigar. I'll
Sit
fall
there and
over.
look pretty, bitch.
Anyway, let me talk about. I want to share a little bit about what was happening in my breakout sessions inside the London event. What we were talking about was this concept of, let's say, for instance, you don't have an absolutely shit ton of case studies for your service, right?
Which
So
is most people.
Yeah,
in the
so
market.
it's the chicken and the egg story. What came first, the client or the case study? And the answer is obviously, it's the client, obviously. So, but how do you get the client when you don't have the case study? And the way you do it is by increasing your authority. So, how can you increase your authority? And like working
Or just work for free.
Yeah, working for free. Yes, you can do that, but it's not. You also want to do this in addition to working free. We introduced this concept of, and David Mendez coined it. So shout out to David Mendez, your Magnum Opus. And what a Magnum Opus is an absolute master document where you pour out every single thing you know about the service you're selling. So if you're an e-commerce email marketer, you make an absolute mega document detailing every single thing you know, documenting every split test, whatever concept, result, example that you have done and got results for, any kind of tutorial, walkthrough, checklist. You pour out absolutely every single thing you know into a document. And the function as to why you do this is because, let's say, for instance, someone schedules a call with you, and then you go send them this document. Hey, thanks for scheduling a call, name, whatever, yada the fuck. Real quick, before you get in the call, here's my thesis on my stance on email marketing. Here's how I believe it should be done. And it's an absolute hyper document. And this is on your front end too. You can put this on your website. You
Gamma
can make,
document.
Yeah. You can make YouTube videos on this, and you throw that shit in there, and they get this document. And what you're trying to facilitate here is someone starts going through this document. It's long as fuck. There's hella.
They're like, I don't want to fucking do this.
There's hella graphs, examples. Yeah, you're trying to do two things here. You're trying to show them, one, how difficult this actually is to get results, and two, there is no way this motherfucker just wrote this much in this document and isn't an absolute expert. Those are the two things you're trying to do here. Everybody needs a Magnum Opus. Everyone,
was a really good
regardless
example.
of how many case studies you have.
I love that.
A really good example of this was I was looking into investing in bourbon barrels, just because the economics of it are really interesting. Like, read up on it sometime. There's different like investment funds that you can get into where you'll literally just purchase bourbon barrels, you'll sit on them for 3 to 5 years, resell them. But whatever. Whenever I booked a call with these guys, like the fund that manages it, they deliver me exactly that. They were like, "Hey, read through this before the call."
The
It's like
Magnum
all
Opus.
the market,
Your
all
thesis,
the market statistics,
your
where everything's
protocol.
sourced from.
Yes, your
And you're
full
just like,
thesis.
holy shit, there's so much here, and they understand this at such a high level
Mm-hmm.
that there's no questioning of the authority when I get on the call. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I already know that these guys know this industry better than I would ever dream to. But
Yeah.
I actually, I have a question for Christian, if that's okay. Are we going to allow him to speak?
Is he still here?
Yeah.
He's right over
We're good.
there.
He's over there. Come out, bro. Come
Shout
on.
out Christian for battling the normies all day on TikTok, because I see him out on my balcony screaming at people, Socialist Sally and
Socialist Sally,
and
Communist Candace.
and Willie wage theft.
Wait, let me
But dude, you're like the perfect example of just like, I will put out
Nancy,
content.
9 to 5.
I don't care what anybody else thinks. Like, how do you actually, like, a lot of people talk
Welfare
about
will.
like, no, seriously, like, a lot of people will talk about, dude, you shouldn't care what people think. He's actually like the living epitome of like, he does not give a fuck. He'll
What's
just
the guy's name?
go out there and do
Oh,
it.
he's looking for a guy. Right?
Billy Bob 6969
That's actually
called me a
his username?
finance bro. That's a
Brokey
loser,
Billy.
a poser, and a follower.
No, but today
So I just recorded in front of the 2 Comma
Yeah.
Club plaque. I'm like, yo, suck my dick, Billy Bob 6969. Eat shit.
that's not actually what you said. You had a more articulate response. But today you caught like the algorithm on like, what was it?
I talked about like building a boring business and all this shit, and people are like, "Oh, you gotta exploit cheap labor for that, and you're like a slave owner, and you just exploit people's work." And I'm like, "Listen, motherfucker, if you think you're being underpaid,
You're being exploited for your work. What's it? Oh, you get paid $50K a year. Why does someone pay you $50K a year?
yeah,
Because they make 150K a year
Yeah.
off you.
That's
it's also-
fucking other reason.
And
why
it's
they do
also
it.
like if you sign the contract to say, "Hey, I'll work for $50,000 this year," how is that being exploited?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, if you're working at $20 an hour at fucking Wendy's and you think you're being underpaid, either one, ask them for a raise. They're going to say no because you're a fucking cashier and anybody could do that. 2, get a new job where you make an extra 10K a year because you're worth more than that. Or 3, go fucking start your own business. If you're so good at flipping patties, go start your own burger joint and be the next Shake Shack, motherfucker. No one's
which
forcing
is like
you
totally
to be there.
reasonable. You could do like you could actually go
But-
make your own burger
but,
shop.
But then everyone copes and says, "Oh, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of risk." Like that's why you're being paid less is because the motherfucker who took the risk is paying you less because they run a business.
Again, transfer of logistical intensity.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
And
called,
I'm like, or just go get a sales job and be paid your worth, motherfucker, and then you're gonna suck at sales and get paid $0.
that's
'cause
called
can't
you know
close
giving
it.
your co-host an alley-oop. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, brother.
One thing I want to do to end this
Yeah,
podcast.
I
that I
set
think
Dan
would
up
be-
on like guys that are already ready to pay. Like,
I
It
think
all
this-
comes back to a transfer of logistical intensity.
Yeah.
And the intensity can sometimes be the economic risk you take from starting something.
Yeah. So, okay, a fun way to end the podcast was I put out a tweet that said, about to record a podcast with Daniel, what should we talk about? And the responses were mad funny. So I want to do kind of like
What was the top engaged response?
I'll go through them. So
Okay.
I want to just present these questions or these statements to
Yeah.
Daniel and get a live reaction on them. You ever see like those videos of the guys in like the NBA like reading the tweets?
Yeah,
Where did they
yeah.
do those on? Was that like ESPN?
I think it was like a
Maybe
Tonight
the
Show.
Barstool Tonight Show, something like that. They
Yeah,
just put, like,
it
the
was like the
tweets.
Tonight Show. Yeah,
Yeah, and they
like
just do,
celebrities
like, a-
reading mean tweets. That was
Yeah,
a great
like
segment.
live live response. So I'll just go through a couple of these and just get your response. So Dakota just said threads.
Nope. Not allowed.
Oh,
Why?
Not allowed. No
even
further,
talk about it on
no
the
further
podcast.
expansion.
So Threads is the new Instagram app. Actually, a follow up to that. If Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg were to fight, who would you put your money on?
Elon, because he's just so much bigger. He's
No.
so much bigger, and you see he's training right now, but he's just like significantly larger.
this is kind of sad.
Zuckerberg, bro, it's easy.
Zuckerberg with a shirt off looks better than any of us right now.
Yeah.
That's pretty
He's
sad.
jacked.
He might, yeah.
He's
He-
jacked.
yeah, no,
Why is
he's-
that sad?
It's sad that like we're not in better shape than Mark Zuckerberg.
Why he could just spend $100K a month to have a trainer come over, a chef come over, everybody come over, and just
I know, but we should have more hunger to look better because he's already got all the money. I feel like it's usually a sliding scale. The more money I
logistical
had, the
intensity.
less.
If you transfer the logistical intensity of a workout regimen to somebody else, it's way easier.
Still got to do the work.
Show up and put me through a workout. Show up and cook my meals. Track my macros for me. Everything is ready for him.
Yeah,
How's
that's why a personal trainer and a private chef gets paid money to transfer
That's way
logistical
easier.
intensity.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm lazy. I'm just going to go eat kava and eat seed oils.
All right, you guys
where-
have ruined a fun question. I've got Zuckerberg via submission in the third
Yeah, I
round.
have Zuckerberg also.
I got Zuckerberg for sure. Mitch asked, does the cold email wizard have an arch rival called the warm inbox magician?
You know what's funny? Because I'm also good at warm traffic email marketing. So I am the warm inbox email magician.
Okay.
I'm my own worst
Okay.
enemy.
Okay. Cam just said logical intensity. He spelled it wrong. It's logistical.
Logistical
Invalid.
intensity.
And so he's fired. He's not going to be able to record again.
Kick
for
him
us.
from the
Sorry.
program.
Nicholas Verge said, how simple is it really?
Literally so simple.
Next question.
Dylan asked a serious question, so this isn't super fun, but how networking has impacted your business and personal relationships?
I was going to respond to that tweet because I saw it. I was like, this is a fucking NPC comment. But yeah, it goes back to the conversation around Force walking into the bar together with a group of friends.
Yeah.
You say fours?
Force.
F-O-R.
Fours walk into a bar. Daniel's like,
F-O-R-C-E.
Fours or whores?
No. Wait.
All right.
unhinged TikTok.
We'll kind of just mix them up because we got one more non-serious and then two more serious. Some guy named Dan Crawley kind of looks like a weirdo. He said, should people go see Oppenheimer or Barbie next week?
That is a stupid
Oppenheimer.
fucking question. If you see Barbie first, please never engage with our
Oppenheimer
content
looks
ever.
really good.
Yeah, it's
It
gonna
looks
be
great.
fire.
Looks really good.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, they were like, "There's no special effects in this," but how'd you do the nuke?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
How'd you do that part?
Like
I saw like a spoof video. He's like, "We're going to Japan." they're like, "Do you know what he's doing?" He's like, "Off my set now." Wait, hold up. I gotta show you this picture.
For that. Yeah. He's like, "I want everything in this movie to be shot through this camera, like
My
nothing else."
My cousin sent me this, but like you're gonna die laughing when you see who's in the picture.
Who is that?
It's the skit from I Think You Should Leave, and it says. It's the skit from I Think You Should Leave, and it's this guy walking into the bar, and it says Sloppenheimer. It said, it's a steak with water dumped on it. Filmed by Christopher Nolan. Sloppy steaks.
Sloppy nukes.
Sloppy steaks
All
at
right,
Gervonta's.
we'll end with 2 serious questions.
Barbie's actually going to be pretty good. I'm just throwing it out
why do
there.
you think?
Here's
Respectfully.
the meme where it's like, I think Barbie's good.
There's
back,
one of the
maybe.
ones where it's like the guy standing up in the crowd from like the olden days. Kind of looks like Abe Lincoln. It might actually be.
It's
Abe
like the
Lincoln.
dude at the table in the university where it's like, Barbie is a good movie. Change my
No,
mind.
When,
That's dead.
The quote was Margot Robbie is hot. I'm like,
yeah, like when she gets divorced and marries me, you guys are going to be like, wow, I should have
Fair enough.
saw that movie first.
Already smashed.
Already smashed.
Already popped.
There's girls in Tampa hotter than Margot Robbie.
That's a wild statement.
No, there's not.
That's a wild statement.
Tampa do be having baddies, though.
Yes, there's 100%.
That's a wild-
That's a wild
Margot Robbie
statement.
in
Wildly
Tampa
incorrect.
right now, eating at
YouTube's going to have to
fucking
flag
Edition.
this for fraud.
Last question is building value ladders without creating competitors. How do you facilitate that?
Personal brand.
No, it means
don't
like you
think you
sell a
can.
course on how to do your thing.
Have the best personal
So-
brand. People go to you first.
This goes into the concept of selling. Like if you're to sell a course, for instance, a value ladder, what that means is do it yourself. So that's a course. Done with you. That's a consulting or coaching program done for you. That's a service. There would be people who would sell. Like if you sell a course, there's 2 different kinds of courses you can sell. There could be a course on the enablement of what you're doing versus a business opportunity on how to copy your business. So I actually saw a guy who runs a big service business, and he started selling a biz op and how to copy his business. And I was like, I understand what you're doing. It's easier to sell, but if you made a more cohesive ecosystem, you would be able to monetize correctly. If you like owned something related to Figma or something like that, it was like a design thing.
These guys are distracting me.
Sorry, I just airdropped him the photo that I was just referencing 2 minutes ago, and he's laughing now. I actually don't think you can, really. Like, if the offer is good enough, you're going to have competitors.
You always create competitors. You just
Yeah.
do. You create competitors simply by marketing. You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, a question that I just saw too that we can end with, I think it's a good end note, is what is the current state of Money Twitter? You've been on Money Twitter for how long now?
2019, 2018
like
on
4 or 5
a
years.
personal account.
I
feel like the
Wait, no, maybe like 2017 on a personal
So
account.
4 or 5 years, what is the state of Money Twitter compared to when?
I have
you
a
first
good
started?
answer for this, but I'll let you guys go first.
So Money Twitter used to be. It was like drop shipping for a long time.
Yep.
And then it was like copywriting stuff, and then it was agency, and then I came along with cold email and like started that wave. And I feel like since then, it really hasn't. Like it obviously hops on AI stuff and yada yada yada, whatever the fuck. It's still like service business. Like people start like doing coaching-esque offers and whatnot, but the opportunity is because the reason why, like the premise of what I brought onto it is still holds now because it's the objectively fucking correct thing to do. Where it's like you make a service business, you prove yourself capable of doing something, and then you can monetize in other fashions later on once you've proven yourself. That was always the premise, how I operated it. It's just the absolute correct fucking thing to do. Therefore, it just holds true forever. And now everything is just about an enablement of being able to do that. So it's like a mechanism to get a client for a service. That's kind of how it is.
Current state.
In terms of like the actual timeline, to make the answer a little bit more fun, like you have like the classical era. It was like drop shipping.
That's good. That's good.
Then
answer.
agency. And then it was like kind of reaching its peak where it was like almost like 95% business content, where it was just like always giveaways everywhere. Then the end of the classical era was like coincided with the rise of Andrew Tate. And then it just became way too much like red pill content.
Yeah,
and
people
like OnlyFans agencies, then it went down. And now
I think we're at the peak of everyone thinks that they can start a business and be successful, and there's so much noise, and it's going to drop back off when people realize
you're
fucking
ruining my
hard.
metaphor here. Now we're entering into a renaissance.
No.
Where it's like I'm actually starting to see like pretty good business content again.
I am.
Where it's like
I am too.
the amount of like red pill, like just like, you know, oh, you need to pimp out girls on OnlyFans and this and that. Like I feel like that's subsided a little bit. People are getting a little bit tired of it, and now it's like meshing more back into an enjoyable
Well, but I
timeline
think
where
that
it's
so many people are entering the market and proclaiming themselves as copywriter, all this shit, and it makes it hard to distinguish what's actually valuable.
that's always been there though. Like you don't
The amount
think
of
so?
cold email agencies and fucking short form agencies.
There was way more cold email agencies 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, but I'm saying
I think
like,
that's the entire point, though. Is there's
everyone
just, like,
now
the
is thinking that they
recycling
can
of it.
enter and be an expert and shit
It's like
that.
the same thing that happened back in the day, 2-3 years ago. People cold email agency, and now they're not around it.
I think it's
Yeah,
way-
you guys joined from my initial push
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
You were in that class.
We're still
I guess you could
here.
say.
We're
Yeah.
I
still
think there's
here.
just a lot of noise right now. Like
There's
lot,
always noise.
a lot of noise.
It's definitely become more sophisticated.
Like
Yeah.
when we first started, there was not a million motherfuckers trying to do a business, and now it's like there's actually like a million people.
Yeah, and
trying
like
to do a business.
70% of the people you see on posting like cold email content were either in Client Ascension or associated with Client Ascension in some capacity.
Or cold
like
email
all of
mastery.
them. Or
Yeah.
cold, all of them.
The cool
so
thing
funny.
is though is like you're seeing like legitimately good businesses being started from it.
Yeah.
Like Brian's business, our business, obviously like
Yeah, Brian's killing
ecom
it.
size
Brian's
or
a G.
ecom side like Kill Crew is like a massive.
I see them in
Yeah.
brand.
their shorts are in the gym every day. I go.
I have 2 more good questions, actually.
So Renaissance, my final answer.
Okay.
The dark ages are over.
2 more questions, and then we'll head out because I'm hungry.
Fresh
First
kitchen?
question, it's really only for Daniel because we've spoke on this a couple of times before, but like, what's the end goal with Client Ascension?
There is no end.
I like that.
It's
Bub,
just,
bub, bub, bub,
just
bub.
like
Peace.
50 mil a year. Like,
Continue to grow.
so like
forever.
absolute enterprise. Like
Domination.
just like fucking massive. Like 200 employees. Like just huge.
Yeah.
Like that big.
Yeah.
The end goal is having Client Ascension wages go to public screenwise for fucking 5 p.m. beer.
What was going to be my second question? Oh,
Rely a quest.
I like thinking of
2.0.
it this way. It's like if people were stocks, essentially. Say like Brian Mankato was a stock you can invest
Oh
in.
yeah, I'd buy that.
So like
Yeah.
who, on Money Twitter right now. it's
Are you
kinda-
talking about the S&P 500?
No. That's some gay shit.
Oh, you literally made fun of it. And you're making the same question.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yeah, you
No,
are.
it's not even
you
closely
can you
related.
can you can buy call options on specific people's income.
Yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
if you could invest in 3 people
I could buy
on Money
call
Twitter.
So if you were to
options
invest
on
in
somebody-
yourself, what would you
No,
call that?
no.
What would you call that market?
I'm not saying invest in yourself.
Say it.
Or
S&P
or just
500.
the equivalent of buying equity stakes in their businesses.
Yes.
There's a lot of people in Client Ascension I would do that for if it was easy to do it.
Yeah.
It's too much fucking paperwork
That's what I'm saying.
bullshit
if
if
you
it's
could
a
just go on
private
Robinhood
company.
and buy stocks in anyone on Money Twitter, Brian Moncada sounds like would be one. Who are 2 or 3 others?
David Mendez, Cardinal Mason, just spitballing some here, like Colin Schmelback, absolute Google Ads hyper driver. Eddie and Brady, we already have at some capacity, helping them build their coaching stuff. Bro, there's a lot of really good businesses.
I would just index into the Client Ascension Fund. I want to pick individual people.
Yeah, the Client Ascension Fund.
The,
All right.
the S&P
The Client
500.
Ascension Index.
That was the one.
all of our clients go public, and you can invest into the ETF.
That'd be fire.
That would be
Client Ascension ETF.
based.
One day, maybe.
Dude, it would be so dope. Take Client Ascension public.
That'd be fire.
Just get it so big, you just fucking IPO it. It'd be
Too
so
much of a
based.
headache.
That'd be fire.
Too much of a headache.
But all right, let's wrap it. Anyways, if you've watched all the way up to this point, we truly appreciate it. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And what I would also say is we have another episode with Daniel. I think it was like our 4th or 5th episode of the podcast, maybe even earlier. And so like put it in the YouTube description or somewhere up here. And so if you want to hear more of like Daniel's story and also just compare where he's at now to where he was like 6 months ago, it's always cool to do that. Go check out that full length episode. And yeah, until next time.
clientascension.com.
/ fucking yes.
Wait, no.
That's not a URL.
And if you want to see more of Daniel on Members Launch, fire off in the comments there.
Yeah.
Let us
we'll
know.
bring him
Let
back.
us know. He's in Tampa. We're
Drop a
in Tampa.
like.
We're business partners. Makes it easy.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Peace.